All right, this is going to be a quick video explaining fruiting conditions. I found out from questions I've been getting about spraying and hydration, and I made a video to answer those questions. But I found out that there was confusion, and it wasn't about the spraying or humidity control. It was actually about fruiting conditions. That's what was throwing off a bunch of people. Now let me explain. It used to be that people did it in two stages: colonization and then fruiting conditions. You've probably seen that everywhere, and they go, yeah, when should I induce fruiting conditions? We don't do that in kitchen mycology. That's been quote unquote debunked for years and years. There's no need to do colonization, wait for it all to colonize your substrate, and then go to fruiting conditions. I mean, I've been doing this for years, straight to fruiting conditions. It's what they call going straight to fruiting conditions. And I've been doing that for years with no problem. Now, there's a caveat, which is some mushroom species don't like that, and you do need to let it colonize first. And then there's another aspect where some of them, you can't even put a casing layer. You have to let them colonize and then after put a casing layer. Others, you can put the casing layer, let it colonize, and then induce fruiting conditions. But for coir-loving mushrooms, which is what we are focusing on in the course, you can go straight to fruiting conditions, no issues whatsoever. Some of my Patreon members are already doing it and sending in pictures, and they're doing great. So it's not a one-off thing that I can do. Now, I'm going to explain the difference just so you know, and in case you need to use it for a species that really needs it. Okay, so let's say that you spawn to bulk. Imagine that this is full, and like you're 2 inches and all that stuff, and you put a casing layer on it, and then you spray it all nice. You spray the inside of the lid, and then you put the lid on. And usually you don't have to spray anymore. The lid is closed. It's not sealed. It'll still let some air in, but it's closed. And then you wait for it to get all white, for it to colonize the whole casing layer. And then when that's done, what people usually do is that they just flip this. They don't have these, so they just flip it and leave a little space here. I've already commented on this in another video that I don't like that, because you get less humidity on this side than this side because it's evaporating here. So then you probably have to do this or do it this way, and then it's only on one side. And that's what they call putting into fruiting conditions, because you're letting in more air. Because the theory is that CO2 is preferred for colonizing, and less CO2 and more oxygen is what the mushroom needs to pin and grow mushrooms. There's crazy debate on that, and people get into heated debates about that. And there's, as far as I can tell, I have not been able to find definitive proof on that. And to me, the proof is in the pudding. And here's another reason I don't like this, because the mushrooms, like I've said before, are going to hit the lid. I mean, you only have like this much space, and if you grow nice and big mushrooms like we do, they're going to hit this. So you're still going to need a lid, a dub tub. You're still going to need a dub tub, to give them enough space to grow. So I don't use these at all. And instead of doing all that jazz, what I do is I go straight to fruiting conditions, which is just spawn to bulk, spray, put the cap on like I said in my handling humidity video, and that's it. You're straight in fruiting conditions. I'm going to say this again. Is there a casing fairy in nature? Like the spores fall somewhere, they start to do their thing, mycelium is growing, and then a fairy comes over and gives it, puts a casing layer on it, and then the fairy waits for it to colonize. Oh, and the fairy puts a little plastic bag on top or leaves or something, and then the fairy waits, and then when it's ready, the fairy comes back and removes the leaves and gives it, fans it, and gives it more FAE, because this is the mushroom fairy. I stopped believing in fairies a long time ago. Well, you can still see fairies, but that's there's another way of doing that. But elves and fairies. But yeah, there's no casing fairy, there's no FAE fairy in the wild. Mushrooms grow, and I've been doing it for years now, going straight to fruiting. You spawn to bulk, put it in there, get a nice level, all that stuff that I've already gone into ad nauseum, and you go straight to fruiting conditions. Don't put the thing and wait for it to colonize and all that stuff, unless you are growing a species that needs it. Some of them need it, but those are for more advanced growers. They're a pain in the butt. It's a big learning curve for those, and we're not going to get into that. This course is to get you started in growing and growing core loving mushrooms that you can grow boatload of varieties, and even some that grow on hardwood and stuff. You wouldn't do that. So don't do this, the flipping and the stuff, and then go to fruiting condition. No, you go straight to fruiting. That's it. Don't worry about colonization. It knows what to do. It'll colonize the way we're doing it, that we put the casing layer from spawn to bulk from the get-go. It knows what to do. It'll colonize, and then it'll start pinning, and that's fine. I wonder if one of the problems that people have going straight to fruiting is that they spray the substrate too much, because like I've said in my other videos, we don't spray the substrate. We don't spray it when it's all white with mycelium, because that can hurt the mycelium. So, and it may never pin. So maybe that's what their problem is. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put a link under this video to a Reddit thread talking about it, and how people are saying stuff like they're saying 11 days is impressive. I think 14 is my fastest, because that's the other thing. Going straight to fruiting speeds everything up. You don't have to wait for it to colonize and wonder, is it colonized all the way yet? Should I, I see so many posts on Reddit. Should I go to fruiting conditions yet? And people are like, yes, no, wait a little bit, blah, blah, blah. None of that. We don't have to do any of that. You can if you want. I mean, I can't force you to do it easier, but man, if it's easier, just do the easier way. Or like a friend of mine used to say, why do it easier if we can do it complicated? Which is what a lot of people do. And I like the other side of it, the KISS principle: keep it simple, stupid. Why complicate things if we don't have to? So I'm gonna put that link for the Reddit post so you can read through it, and you can see people arguing both sides. But again, do whatever's comfortable for you. But for the course, the way we're presenting everything is straight to fruiting. No colonization stage separate from fruiting. And that's it. And it works awesome. Hope this helps.